People are here. Oh my goodness. Did I start? Yeah, I guess we're live. Okay. Sorry. Just joking with you guys.
First time.
Recorded.
There you go. Recorded. Do it.
All right. Recorded February 7th, 2024. We'll play.
Mad echo team. There we go. That's better. That's
That's
better.
better?
Yeah, that's better. Yeah.
All right.
It's almost like calling in from a cell phone. I don't know. Like last week.
Is the glare too bad behind us? You look
No,
great,
it looks
Brodie.
great.
I know, bro.
Thank you. You look great too.
Like, I'd buy something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really want it.
Thank you. You look great too. Both look great. Everybody looks great today.
Well, appreciate it, man. We try. We try.
Yeah, so
you know what?
we're all in different places, right? We're all in
Yes.
different places.
It's
Well,
cold
I
out,
mean,
man. It does stuff,
we are
man.
every week, but except for you two. It looks like, Edward, you have someone familiar. with
Someone
you.
familiar. Oh, yeah. So anyway, good afternoon, Brodie. Good afternoon, Rod. Good afternoon, Andrea.
Good afternoon, Edward.
How's everyone doing?
Pretty
Not
well.
too shabby.
For those just listening instead of watching, we have 3 screens and 4 people. So you can imagine what that means.
Someone doesn't have a laptop, so that's what that means, actually. If you do the
Edward
math.
and Andrea are in the same place. Where are you, by the way?
We are in Building 92 in Redmond. We are here for a boot camp, learning all kinds of exciting new stuff.
What's that about? What are you learning? What is it? Are you allowed to talk about it?
Not really.
Not really. I'll do it. No, I'll violate an NDA in a minute. No, can't do
Well,
it.
it doesn't impact Andrea. It doesn't impact your or our jobs, Edward. It only impacts Andrea's job at this point. So because we're not on that team.
Well, yeah, well, you know. So we are. Did you tell them where we actually were?
I told them we're in Building 92 in Redmond.
Okay. So we are in Redmond. We're getting learned up on some technology. Enjoying the atypical Seattle weather where it's sort of overcast forever. That's it. So sounds like Brodie, you are having.
Can't be me. I'm on a headset. I'll try muting. Keep talking.
See, it is you. or it's coincidental that Trevor turned his when to mute or something. So I don't know. Yeah.
Oh, Frank's already calling you out, Edward.
Frank can call me out. Frank, it goes away. Taking your advice. This seems to be a waste of a week because I'm having to travel. Well, not like that. I mean, I'm not having enough cycles to be able to get some study time in unless I get up. Well, I'm getting up every morning like 5 o'clock because my body says it's 8 o'clock. So I'm getting it in. I won't let you down, Frank, no matter what it takes. But Brodie, tell me something good. What is Team Canada doing?
Team Canada is in Toronto, Ontario. And it's the yearly industry solutions delivery meeting. The first one since COVID in person. And so I'm here with basically the entire Microsoft consulting group, technology people, salespeople, account people, people that help us look good. And we're all having a great time. We're getting the chance to meet one another in person. Well, I haven't met most people here since I was hired. And so it's been fantastic to put faces to names and faces to faces and faces to profile pictures. And we're talking about AI a lot. AI is coming up a lot. Weird. We're talking about different security wins. You know, I'm on 2 of them. Not a big deal. I got called out a few times, so not a big deal.
Nice.
Kind of killing it. And we got a good
The
view.
new Toronto building, is that the new building, by the way? Because I think that was
It
built
is.
since I was there last, because that was before COVID. But yeah,
It is the new one. Yes, I'll do a quick
I
panoramic
love that
view.
view. Yeah.
1 sec here.
Oh my goodness, that's crazy.
I love Toronto. One of
Oh,
my
look at
favorite Canadian cities. Yeah.
It's a beautiful
That's
skyline.
awesome. I'm not an office type person, but I would go into that office a couple times. Look at that. Oh, that's great.
Right?
Yeah.
It's changed so much. I sort of lived on and off there for years, flying in there, and then you would take the 401 West to go to Waterloo to work at RIM back there.
Yeah, back in the day.
Back in the
But-
day.
The actual office itself is gorgeous. I mean, I don't know how many people I'm going to get on camera if I do this, but like everything's very well put together. I'll do like a little walk around in a moment here. But yeah, it's a beautiful building, and they finished it just before COVID hit. So I think it was good for them to say, we're going to bring people and show off the capital expenditure.
There you
Yeah.
go.
You could sell like one floor and give me all that budget money for travel. That'd be awesome.
Well, trust me, Rod, they closed the Tampa office.
Or did they?
Give you the that I went to every single day of my life to give you your travel budget. So
That's where my travel budget came from. Yeah.
And they closed the office closest to my house in Avalon, which was the Mac Daddy office for a number of years, small as it was. But the office in Atlanta is really nice. People go in there.
Yeah.
I think it's
Well,
one.
I have an office in Cincinnati, but I don't know why it exists because, it's got to be one of the smaller offices, you'd think.
Yeah. So, Rod, what have you been doing this week?
Me?
Yeah, you.
Watching the same thing that you're watching this week, except remote, which hasn't been too bad because I've actually been able to work while I'm listening. Most of this stuff, though, is kind of rehashed for me a little bit because I've kind of been listening into this stuff for the past year. Or what is this? This is February. Yeah, about a year or so. So, yeah.
I will say, I know that is interesting to us, but since the people on the phone have no idea what we're talking about.
It's Copilot for security. I'll pull the sheet off. It's Copilot for security, but there's a lot of cool things coming. Not necessarily can't talk about everything yet, but it won't be very much longer. We'll be able to talk about everything. So it'd be kind of cool.
Just got to hold our horses, be patient, and we'll be able to give the people, the listeners, what they want. So yeah,
what the listeners want is pricing, and we absolutely still cannot talk about that. So
you do so at your own peril. But anyway, so you start to get the gist of what Brodie's doing, Rod's doing, Andrea and I doing the same thing. Learning up. This is a show just for us. We don't have a guest this week, but we will pick up having guests come on and talk starting on the 21st. And I think we all had about one or two things we wanted to bring. So, Andrea, you can go first. What do you want to talk about?
I actually have two things that I thought I would bring up just because they're interesting things that have happened recently. And if anyone is having issues using Power BI with the Defender APIs or connecting the data connector in Sentinel to the Defender APIs, and you're getting a deny, open up your conditional access policies. Believe it or not, there is hidden in there a button called Classic Policies. You probably don't even know it's there. But when you go in Classic Policies, you're going to see a WDATP conditional access policy, and that is the thing that is blocking you. And you can either safely, I promise you, remove that policy or just disable it if you don't trust me, but that's okay too. But that will allow you to connect over that API. It's that conditional access policy that's keeping you blocked.
That's the Sentinel to Defender XDR connector, or just the
XDR connector? Yeah, the XDR connector. Or it's that same API that Power BI uses if you're trying to create Power BI reports. So
give that a shot. Yeah, I haven't encountered it yet because I haven't done that Power BI extraction or whatever else reporting. So it's I'll make sure we take note of that. You got it saved up. You want to go to your other one? You see you had two?
I don't know. Why don't we all go around and we can take turns?
Okay. Well, I got one, but I didn't key it up on another machine. So I'll just bring it up here. I think I have it in here. So I have three, and they're all sort of identity based. So first, it's a post on LinkedIn. So it's like give these posts out rather than going to just to learn. I'd like to talk about the person that brought it to my attention. This gentleman, I don't know him. His name is Nathan Olson. And he gave a little, tidbit on the top 3 Copilot to-dos if you're looking at being some type of governance or person of authority or SME as we go into this AI and this regenerative and this LLMs and data models. He said, your top 3 Copilots to do: identify specific business processes that would benefit. Don't do it. I'm going to think or interpret what I think he's meaning. Don't do it because it's cool. Do it if there's a learning path to at least make sure you're knowledgeable about it, and don't put it in because you fear missing out or you're falling behind the industry. And we have to have a co-pilot. Like, people are just throwing AI into the description of their products across everything. Number 2, perform a security audit, because if you don't, this technology will expose you, right? Because it's trying to get the job done, and it's assuming that it has permission to go out and look and or manifest and or report. So I can imagine some ways if you introduce one of the gazillion co-pilots that are part of the Microsoft portfolio, it can expose data and governance issues. And I'm sure Brodie's probably going to, once he starts really getting into it, he's going to pull his hair out when he starts seeing these things that come up, right? Number 3,
Yes.
assign a co-pilot data steward. That reminds me of GDPR, when you had to have a DPO, data privacy officer, or a CDO, a chief data officer. Someone has to recognize that the strength of the co-pilots is the way that they can access data, not the data that's part of the language model or the repository or the prompt books, but what about the data is going to return and structure in such a manner? It may tell you something you're not supposed to know. So you need to have someone. And the interesting thing is, you can't assume that your co-pilot technology, whatever you're using it for, will stay within your data governance boundaries. You have to be purposeful about that. So I'll put the link here. I copied it, give him some credit. Maybe I'll try to reach out to the gentleman and see if he'll come on the show. So that's the one that I had. I know the link is going to be super long, but so think about it. Have a business reason to do it. Do a security audit, because once you start transversing boundaries, do not know you have once it's out there, you can't undo it. And number 3, get you someone who is a data steward. That may be your existing data protection division, your DPO, your chief data officer, whatever that may be. Someone that is part of your data governance, whether it's GDPR, SOX, high trust, they need to be in that. This is not a nerd technology. Someone needs to be that. So that's the first one I had. So I put the link in there. Rod, what about you?
I have a few things to share, but let's start with this. I think most generally I talk about AI stuff these days. This is sort of AI
Weird
infused, but it's actually an Entra thing that they released this week, which I thought was super cool. If they're not aware, Entra Verified ID now has Face ID. I messed with this week. It's actually pretty cool. So you go into your Entra ID directory, you take somebody's profile picture or a picture of a person, and you apply it to their profile. So now that when they want to get access to something, like an authenticator type of access, they can actually verify with their face, and it verifies against their profile to allow them to get in. It's not necessarily that the AI is trying to figure out your face and like capturing that data somewhere. It's actually verified against something that exists within the directory that you manually put in there yourself. But the AI does a really good job of capturing that. So I think it's kind of neat.
I saw that. That was going to be one of mine.
Sorry.
I didn't choose it. Doob is at best though, because if this is a static shot without, biometrical, what's the thing that they ran order? Biometric key points. It's like, what if you change the way your face is? You can just copy someone's face unless they're embedding some metadata into the image in itself, like a hidden QR code in your irises or something. You just take someone's face. I saw that. I say, okay, we see where this is going, right?
It's interesting too, because I think more technologies are going to be, unfortunately, face biometric based. Like several years ago, prior to COVID, a lot of people complained about it or all up in arms. I don't want you scanning my face. But if you've been through an airport recently and you use Clear, they are starting to scan your face now. It's becoming part of your actual ID. So in the near future, TSA will just literally scan your face.
We have that in Canada for what we call Nexus, which is TSA or pre-check, whatever you guys call it down south. It's global entry. Thank you.
We have it for TSA as well, though. Out of Canada now.
Okay.
Pre-check is face.
Yeah,
Yep.
and same thing. If in order to skip the line, like I've had to have my face on file for years now. I mean, it's issued by the U.S. government, so you all have my likeness. So,
Well, can
treat
you
it with care.
imagine a day where Microsoft or whoever sells their identity to TSA and TSA is just running Enter ID everywhere to do the scanning? That'd be awesome. Brodie, you're big on all these big wins. You should sell that. So.
Yeah, that's
I will.
super problematic. The thing about it, when they say you scan your face, make no doubt, while your face may be part of that biometric authentication model, it's your eyes.
Yeah.
That's what, close your eyes. You will not get authenticated, right? And so, but I know Nexus. I had Nexus for years. They helped me get in and out of Canada, man. That was the best thing going. So, yeah. And
So
Skip those lines.
Speaking of closing your eyes to trick it, so I have the new, of course, there's $6 million man on there, but I have the new Samsung S24, whatever it is, the new AI phone, and it does have face scanning. Well, they've had it for a while, but this one, you can supply different face views, and I actually did one with my eyes closed, so it lets me in with my eyes closed.
Yeah.
This is not directly related to that, but it made me think of, I was having lunch with a friend last week, and her husband is working at a IT startup, and they are working to embed some kind of layer of code on top of pictures online so that AI models cannot scan those pictures to learn from them without properly compensating the artists.
Like a watermark or something. Yeah.
That was super interesting.
Yeah. And 6 degrees of step, I was looking at some hacks and exploits of regenerative AI around image creation, and they got something, is it called Nightmare, a night hash? And it is evil. If you tell it to make a cute, bear hugging a baby with a puppy on the floor, you'll get something totally inappropriate to come back. And so it's pretty good. So now you're starting to see the evolution of the technology because the hackers are getting in on it. Poison the well attacks, poison information attacks, poison the image attacks, stuff like that, right? But yeah. Brodie, did you have something?
Yeah, well, actually, I'm going to build on yours, Edward, because I think there's been a ton of announcements on purview, information protection, how that relates to AI, co-pilots, et cetera. And we were just talking about that today in the conferences. If you want to enable all these amazing tools, you need to make sure that you have your data estate managed appropriately. Because to your point, and again, Edward, you kind of stole what I was going to talk about, so I'm just going to build on what you said, Edward. But it's all good, buddy. You did a great job representing it. And we talked about it last week, or you all talked about it last week as well, when we had Sarazin and the other gentleman on. I think enabling Copilot is going to help a lot of people, help a lot of organizations, yada, 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 marketing. But it's also going to have a wide set of capabilities to scan and index and consistently review all data within your tenant. And think about it like that nosy employee. If you don't have your stuff, if you don't have your documents, your important information, your digital crown jewels in secure locations with controls, people are going to snoop, right? That's just going to happen. So, if I open up a chatbot and I'm like, hey, can you make me a presentation on the 5-year plan, or can you make me a presentation on the executive level salaries, and you don't have that information protected, then capability solutions like this are going to be able to go out and grab that. So I think it's an important oh crap, we've actually got to do something about data security moment, right? Because if you're not classifying, if you're not properly storing sensitive information in the right locations already, you have to have a big wake-up call and figure that out quick if you're going to have broad co-pilots working within your environment to make organizations better or help achieve better results. Because you need to hide data from it, or you need to make sure it's not as promiscuous as you want it to be. Now, in some situations, like marketing organizations, but availability is more important than confidentiality. But if we think about pharmaceutical, Edward, you always like to bring that up, or energy, where I work a lot of the time, critical infrastructure, or public sector. We need to have a lot of guardrails around the data itself to ensure that it's properly being accessed either by an entity that's a human or an entity that's an AI. And so things that are coming out soon, and we got Secure coming up in a month, are going to help shed lights on some of these controls. I just need everybody out there to think about that and think about real information security and real classification and protection, not only from people, but also from technology itself.
Well, yeah, and that's absolutely right. That's why I wanted to bring this up. So this is part of a deck that I deliver as part of this Microsoft AI tour, right? So this slide here, and the last piece of that is protecting the data. And we always say at this thing, Microsoft Purview is going to be that thing that Microsoft provides to help customers kind of get that under control. But at the same time, they really should have been doing this already. Because if you look at this slide, if you do the needful things, the things that you should have been doing already, multi-factor, least privilege, patches, all the good stuff, protecting the data, then you are going to mitigate 98% of all potential AI situations, right? So it's not that big a deal as long as you're already but most customers are not, Brodie, to your point, they are not doing the data things. And that is so super important.
Well, yeah. And which is the reason we're all gainfully employed. Because a lot of the customers, and it's not that they don't want to do it, is that if you truly were to go in and take anybody's zero trust framework initiative, it's disruptive, right? You're gonna have some rub against some people like you're not. Here's always the pushback. You're not allowing me to do my job, right? And then it goes up the line to someone that says, "Hey, you're costing us money. We know we need to do this, right?" But I'll tell everybody out there, I'm cheaper before than I am after. Because if I got to come out there and tell you, you got issues, but it is, and you're right. If they do these things, do what Brodie consults on: data privacy, governance, and knowing and do due diligence about your stuff. Which goes back to the podcast guest last week. One of the first things, if you pin that to what the first thing I talked about, and the guy said, do an audit. What do they call it? Cold storage data crawl. Do those things. Go back and see where your data repository is. This is the thing now. Because the regulatory bodies are going to come in like hawks on everybody's Copilot, on everybody's region. It don't matter, Microsoft, they're waiting, right? And they're waiting for the first person to fall on their face. And they're going to go, see? All right.
Yeah.
Want to go with one, Andrea?
Sorry, Andrea, I just want to finish something if you don't mind. I don't mean to interrupt, but just super quick, Dean in the chat said, which Copilot should I use to find incorrectly protected information? And there's going to be capabilities. They're in private preview. I think we can talk about private preview. They were last week, but there's going to be capabilities within our stack in order to allow admins and data custodians to see what's actually out there and visible. So you're not going to have to go and do all the guesswork. We're going to help you, but you have to implement the controls and the best practices or recommended practices, which is hard. It's especially for enterprises at scale. It's hard. Data security, information protection is difficult. You need to have a plan. And you're right, Edward, that does lead to a lot of consulting, for better or worse.
It leads to a lot of consulting, but you're consulting on a good thing. You're trying to help people get right. So there's nothing bad at that. And to get right, you got to spend money. You can spend money now, you can spend it later. And
you got it.
And Brodie is cheaper now than he is later.
And
yes.
We're fairly reactive as a society as it is, but the more proactive you are, the better. Andrea, I'm so sorry I interrupted you. Thank you very much.
No. And honestly, along that same point, back in the olden days, right? Cataloging the data was super hard. And so people got bogged down in the thought of this is going to take forever. I don't know how to do it. I don't have the expertise, but now we have these fantastic tools that will, automate those processes for you. That's even before we get to the co-pilots for data, right? We still have Purview and Priva and all the P's that I don't even know about. So
yeah, it's crazy. If you look at the job postings, if you look at the Defender stack, even though it's a single operational platform, you can make a career out of compliance portal. You could. It is not for you to go be a hobbyist and try to do it. And to our job seekers out there, once we get into the month that we talked about certification, career path, and everything, you should charge $25,000 to $35,000 per Defender product in your salary. So MDE is $35,000. You want me to do Purview? That's another $35,000. You want me to do MDI? That's another $35,000. Because they're looking for these unicorns. You can't do that. Actually, 50 grand per workload, right? But
I like that. I don't know if I'll get that, but I like that.
Make all that money anyway, man. Can you lend me a couple of dollars? Canadian dollars.
Yeah, absolutely. Canadian dollars coming your way. And I mean, like, that's what you're touching on is interesting, because we all work with administrators and various teams of various sizes. And even in consulting, sometimes they have to be an identity and access management person. I got to be on it. And then all of a sudden, now it's information security. And then, hey, now we're back on endpoint security. So yeah, I think you can't get stuck in one particular skill, but you have to kind of flow and meet the need when it shows up. And luckily, we've got a bunch of great training material and resources online. Not only Microsoft, but people in the community, right, Rod?
Yeah, and this is, I'm going to date myself huge here, but I know there's a couple others on this video, on this show, that would know what I'm talking about. Data cataloging and knowing what data you have. In the old days, that was all outsourced. There were companies that came in and collected your files and did the data classification for you. And if you needed something, you'd call them up. I need this file from 1994 for this company that did this thing, and they would bring it to you. So it's a thankless job. Organizations, the reason why they don't do it is because they don't want to do it. It's difficult. It's hard. That's why technology in this case is super useful.
And it was often done in the most stressful, event. You're preparing for an audit.
Yeah.
They're coming in and they looking, right? And you can never do right. You're never going to pass the audit with 100, right? Whether it's E&Y, Deloitte and Touche, PwC, whomever else is going to come in, KPMG, they believe their job is to find something. You're not getting out of it, right? You're not getting an A. But sure. So I got one more.
I didn't even get to do mine.
I thought Brodie cut you off. That's what happened.
Well, then I apologized. And Andrea, yeah, you go, and then I'm gonna sneak out because we have a team building event right after. So Andrea, I really want to hear yours before I go.
And I'm sorry, guys, my laptop is being crazy today. I don't know if Rod can maybe find the setting in Entra ID for conditional access for Microsoft managed policies. Back November 2023, we told customers at Ignite that we were going to start changing some of the conditional access policies. There's a setting inside conditional access where you can have it be Microsoft managed or managed by you. If it's Microsoft managed, that means when we decide to implement something, it's going to happen in your tenant. If you leave it to that default setting of Microsoft managed, and they're changing 3 policies in the next few weeks, you may have seen this. You may have seen this in, if you're the tenant admin, you should have gotten some pop-ups about it, but on the off chance you did not, this could make a huge difference in your environment. And so they're making a change for MFA for administering the admin portals. So you're going to see a change to that one. If you have not changed the Microsoft managed, they're going to change the one for per user MFA and also for risky sign-ins. So hopefully, I'm sorry to put you on the spot, Rod, but if we can't find that, we'll give us a screenshot or link to the article later. But or you can just go to the Learn site and Google Microsoft Managed Conditional Access Policies, and it should show you exactly where to go in the portal to make that selection.
Yeah.
Perfect. And these are no-brainers, right? These are absolute no-brainers, and it's a part of Microsoft's strategy to make the default tenant configuration more secure than it has been in the past, right? As opposed to leave it up to the customer. And you need to plan for this. It's a 90-day countdown. So we'll find the article. Extremely important. It's a no-brainer, but don't wait till day 89 because you need to actually talk with people and plan and make sure everyone's on the same page, because that could cause a real issue if you let it lapse. So
we rolled one of these out already, which was let Microsoft decide which form of MFA you could use. And that was going to be the strictest. So if you had the user set for text message or email or the Authenticator app, it automatically defaulted to the Authenticator app. And so we had lots of customers calling and being like, why can't people get text messages anymore? It's because you had that setting to Microsoft managed. So.
SIM swapping stuff is becoming a thing, right? So I wouldn't want text messages or SMS messages anymore, and email, because if I've hacked your email and you're getting an authentication request in the email, I got you.
I have only one phone factor. One customer we're working with, Edward, extremely good point. Yeah, SMS, try to avoid it. So let's say you use the Authenticator app. Well, you don't want your second attestation method to be email, because if somebody's in your phone, they're going to use that. They're going to use email, right? So security questions has been coming up a lot, where it's something you know, and it's something outside of the phone's realm. So if we're doing attestation method 1 being the Authenticator push notification, and then attestation method 2 being security questions, you're covered off from a device-based risk situation where someone's compromised, like your phone, for instance. So super important that you brought that up. I'm going to take off, team. I love you all. Have a great day.